So I'm going to be recording with a microphone today because my baby's sleeping, and so that way I don't have to be as loud because she's right in the other room. But how are you all? Thanks for coming to watch another video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I still don't get used to this whole recording thing. It's still really odd, but I know that in my last video I shared that I was going to be doing a different kind of video where if you see me reach over again, like, it's just so that I could see the little camera on the GoPro, because I just feel better about like being able to see what I'm doing as I'm recording. But I said that I was going to do a sort of like a haul of things that are needed, or that I think that you need for when you have a baby in the fall. And I'm still really looking forward to making that video. But I've really had it in my mind on my mind to do this video. That's not going to be the haul this time around, because I really wish that I had seen a video like this before. I always try to think about, like, obviously I think we're all naturally sort of creative as humans, and we want to always think of like what's something that we can do that nobody else has done. And although it's not always my priority or my goal, well, I guess it is sort of a goal always, but it's not necessarily a priority, because I definitely feel like you can do a video or talk about things that have been discussed in the past and just do it differently. But what I wanted to talk about is the fact that before becoming a mom, before ever even seriously considering having kids, I always thought to myself, and I always shared with not always, but for example, with my husband, when we were dating, I did share with him that I planned on being a working mom, and I always planned on and always had the thought and the idea that of taking my kids to daycare and childcare, and that I would always work, because and the reason behind that was because I was taught growing up to always have something to fall back on, always know how to work, always have a job, and never depend on a man. And while I can appreciate the values in that, like, as a woman, always having always having options as far as how to make money, having options on going to get an education so that you can work for yourself and not have to depend on somebody else. And I can, like I said, appreciate the values in that. However, being 24 now, I'm like, how old am I? Being 24 now, and having been married for 2 years now, and just being at the stage in life and that I'm at now, and going through the things that I've gone through up to this point, I disagree with a lot of the notion that you shouldn't depend on a man, that you shouldn't depend on somebody else other than yourself, because it's hard. It's hard, it's hard to not be able to depend on somebody else sometimes. And I know that sometimes that is the case, that you can't depend on someone, but I don't think that you should just discount everyone by that and like live by that rule. With that being said, what I'm trying to get to is, growing up, I was always taught this and told these things, and was surrounded by not only a lot of women in my life encouraging, only working and always being a working mom, but also society, from a very, like, thinking back, like, this is something that I've been thinking about recently, but thinking back to my my earlier years, my younger years in high school. And I would say in high school, I feel like that's when I noticed this, this idea was that a lot of people, like, I was surrounded, me and along with other friends, like girlfriends of mine, were very, like, mean to boys, and were very, like, weary of them, and actually treated them really poorly. And I remember, looking back now, like, I do remember boys, like, friends that we had, even, like, people that I dated, that would literally, like, look at me and ask us, like, in the moment, you're joking, you're trashing on somebody, and, like, you're just, like, messing around with them and bashing on them, and then it was all sort of like jokes, but at the same time there was a lot of truth behind it. And they would ask, I remember guy friends asking us, like, why do you hate me? Like, what is so bad about me? Like, what am I doing to you? Like, things like that. And I feel bad looking back now, because I'm like, geez, like, how did the boys growing up around me, or like the friends that I had, that were constantly being told, you're trash, you're I don't know, you're a jerk, you're like an a-hole, you're like all of, like, they would be constantly called, like, all of these names, like, you're a douchebag, you're this, you're that. How did they, like, feel? I wonder how they must have felt, like, hearing that constantly from all the girls around them. Like, why did we have this innate hatred towards the men in our lives, towards the boys? Like, I know that each one of us has, like, probably our own experiences with men, like, with our fathers in our life, and, or, with our, I'm talking about, like, myself and other women. Like, we all probably have some sort of, our own, like, experiences that we had growing up that probably shaped and formed that mentality, or could have as well. And just to have this, like, weariness and innate, like, fear, hatred, towards men. But I feel like it was something that was so instilled in myself, and honestly, not like, it's not like my mom or the women in my life were, like, telling me, like, to hate men. They weren't outright saying that or anything, but I definitely grew up with a, some sort of, like I said, just like an innate weariness, like a distrust. I don't know if that's a word, but, like, just always with this mentality of, like, never ever, like, the worst thing that you can do in this world is to depend on a man for anything, like, anything at all, especially monetary purposes. And so now that I'm 24 years old, I've been married for 2 years, and I now have a daughter. I firstly, like, being married, ever since being married, I've had to work past those things. I've had to, like, work out myself out of that mentality, because it was hurting my marriage, not being able to depend on my husband in many different ways, more than just financially. which going into the marriage, I from the moment that I was working, I've always worked. Well, not always, sorry, but I've worked since I was 17 years old. And I only recently stopped working a few months ago. I'm going to say maybe like 2-3 months ago, I want to say. And I'll go into why I made that decision. But I ever since we dated, I was already working, and I told my husband, and he had shared with me when we were younger and dating, that his goal was to make me a stay-at-home mom, that he would like for me to, stay home and take care of our house and our kids. And I remember literally looking at him with disgust and this like pride, and just looking at him and being like, yeah, okay, like as if that's gonna happen. Like, I told him, like, no, you're crazy, like, I'm gonna work. And he would ask, like, well, I mean, he never had a problem with it. He never opposed, opposed that idea. But his initial idea was, what I just explained. And again, I just looked at him like with dismay, or like just like content, and just, was just like, yeah, right, like, that's never going to happen. Like, I will never depend on you financially. I will always work. And I was proud to say that. And I just thought, like, no, my kids can go to daycare and I can go work, and that's just how life's gonna be. Well, fast forward to when I got pregnant last year. It's just crazy, the like switch that I've made, mentally, the way that I've matured. It's really crazy to like look back at that now and be like, wow, like it's been a drastic change, and all for the better. And this is the reason that I'm making this video, because nobody ever told me that I might want to just be a mom and not be a working mom. I always thought that my identity, my person would be to like be a working mom. A boss, and don't get me wrong, it's admirable to see other, women, like working women. Like I said, I'm surrounded by women that do it all. And it's not to say that you can't manage it all time-wise, but you're sacrificing so much more and giving up so much more, and so much more is at stake when you do it all at the same time. And that's not to, talk down or talk bad about the women in my life that do work and do it all, because like I said, they are incredible women and, incredible people, and have taught me, a lot about life. And I can appreciate a lot of it. But like I said, there's a lot of it that was actually harmful to me, in the sense, and not in a physical sense, but like in the sense that I grew up with that mentality that I would always be working. So when I got pregnant, I actually started hearing different voices on YouTube, different people with different women on YouTube discussing and sharing that maybe there is more to life than just working and wanting to, make money. That there is, another side to, there's a whole entity in motherhood that you might enjoy. And so I started looking into this, hearing this, and looking into this, and I was really, really attracted to the idea of being a stay-at-home mom. I was really influenced, and I was very heavily influenced, and I was very enticed by the thought and the idea that I could stay at home and enjoy the time with my children. I could stay at home and not have to balance, work and being a mother. That I could focus a period of time in my life and dedicate that time to only being a mom, which obviously that's not the only thing you are when you're a mom, right? It really isn't. You're a friend, you're a daughter, you're a companion, you're a partner, you're a house, keeper. And I don't say that like in a, like in a derogative manner, or even just like, in a working sense, but you're literally keeping your house. Like, you are the keeper of your home. And I have found in the few months that I've had this privilege, because it is an absolute privilege at the same time that it is an absolute sacrifice. And making the decision to stop working has been the hardest thing that I've ever done, because not only has it been difficult to the difficult thing hasn't been to depend on my husband, because thankfully, thanks to God, I have a very dependable husband, a husband who loves me and cares for me deeply, and for my daughter, of course, for our daughter. And so that hasn't necessarily been the hard part, but not having not my own, because that's another thing that's that you learn in marriage, that when you pull your finances, that when you combine them, it's hard to get out of that mentality of like my own money. But it's that part is not been hard, that depending on my husband, but just like to think that I'm not bringing in money that I feel like I can depend on, like not having that paycheck to depend on. Not only has it been a sacrifice and a really hard thing to go through financially for both of us, and it has brought us, I can't even begin to explain the challenges that it's brought my husband and I. But again, it's a sacrifice that we decided to make for the better, the betterment of our daughter, and the raising of our daughter. And so again, like it's been hard, yes, but it's been such a blessing, and to depend on God, to have to depend on God this way has been really also really hard, but it's been very life-changing in the way that like it's really increased my faith. It's forced me to put myself in a position where I have to depend on God fully, not just for when not just when I need it, but not just when I want it, but when I need it. Not just for the things that I selfishly want, but the things that I selfishly need. And I won't go get into all that right now, but just it's been hard, but it's such a great blessing, and it's such a different, like when and I've shared this with other women in my life, that I'm like, other friends and family, that I'm like, the stress that I have to deal with now, that my priority and my concern and my duty is my home and my daughter. And of course, the daily duty that I have as a wife. That's, also such a big blessing. It has been such a joy compared to the stress that I would deal with having to get up, get ready, and go to work, and have to deal with all of the stress that you deal with at a job, and then having to come home and then deal also with the stress of the home, and the cleaning and all of that, the cooking and all of that. It's been such a joy compared to that. And I'm here to tell you, if nobody has told this to you before, you may just want to be a mom. you might not want to be a mom and have to go to work and be a working mom. You might not want to leave your baby. And I'm also here to tell you that that's okay. That is normal. For you as a woman, that is normal to want to be with your baby, to not want to leave your baby. It is normal. It's not unhealthy. It's not toxic. It's not going to make you're not coddling your baby by wanting to be present in their lives, fully present in a way that many women don't get to be. It's not selfish, it's sacrificial. And it's an option, for many women it may not be, and that's that absolutely breaks my heart. And honestly, financially for us, it wasn't the best decision financially, but again, though, there's certain things that you just have to give up in certain periods of your life, or that you may choose to. Maybe you don't feel like you have to, and if you decide to go the other route or a different route, and there's 100 different ways that you could go, but essentially if it's an option for you, you decide that it's an option for you and you're gonna do it. It's not wrong. That's what I'm here to tell you, is that it's not wrong. And there is a possibility that you may just want to be a mom and enjoy your motherhood and enjoy that time with your baby. And there's so many there's so many positives to it, and there's I can't even say that of course there's negatives in the way that you're not going to be contributing financially to your home anymore, but there's been overall, there's been such an element of humbleness, of it. I have never felt more, how can I say this? I've never felt more secure in myself as a mom, as a person. When I became a mom, I've never felt more this urge to figure out life and figure out how to, because I mean I'm not working, but I'm still trying to figure out ways to contribute financially. Hence what I said in my last video. That's the reason that I started a business, and I have no idea literally what I'm doing, but I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm still trying to contribute financially and do make a lot of decisions that are going to contribute to the possibility and this choice that I've made of staying home with my baby. I'm trying to do the utmost. Hang on, I have to go see my baby because she's waking up. So my baby woke up, so we're just gonna keep recording, but I'm going to probably just have to figure out how to blur her out. Oh, I totally forgot I was recording with my mic. Anyway, I'll figure out how to crop out or blur out my baby. You guys know that I don't edit my videos, so this is all gonna stay in there, and I'm really sorry, but because I know it can probably be really annoying, the fact that you just had to wait till I went to pick up my baby. But anyway, maybe I'll just no, I can't even move her out of the frame. That's okay. I really want to finish this video because it's really important, that I feel like it's really important for women to hear that. Again, you might just want to be able to do this, sit down. This sounds so privileged, but I'm literally just sitting down recording a video, taking time out of my day to record a video, to upload, to share, and I was able to just get up and go get my baby. I'm able to be here when she wakes up. I'm able to be here when she goes to sleep, and nothing makes me happier than that. And I'm I've been able to breastfeed for 6 months now, which is a huge like accomplishment for me. There's so many things that you don't get to do when you decide to work and be a mom, and all of them, no matter what decision you make, it's a sacrifice. Having to leave your baby is the ultimate sacrifice. Having to leave your work to be with your baby is the ultimate sacrifice. Like, there's everything it's just everything is a sacrifice. Any choice that you make will be a sacrifice that you have to make. But I hope that you can just do what's best for you and do what's best for your baby. Not what's best for you only, but what's best for your baby. Everyone has such a focus on themselves these days, and that's a whole different topic. But I really appreciate you listening to me today. I know this video, I tend to talk a lot, ramble a lot, but I hope that you got something good out of this, and I appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe and share your thoughts, your opinions down below. We may have different thoughts and opinions, and that's okay. But share your experiences as well, and encourage each other as women to be kind to each other, and encourage each other to consider being a stay-at-home mom and consider being with your baby more, because this is not going to be forever. So there will be a time when I may need to work again, and I may need to, maybe I'll have to leave her, maybe she will have to go to daycare someday. Who knows? Only God knows. But I do trust in God, and I know that He listens to our desires and what's in our hearts and what our wants and needs are, and He's just that great that I think He will provide for me to be able to care for my baby as long as I want and I need. But anyway, I won't be seeing you guys next time, but you'll be seeing me. All right, have a great Monday. Bye-bye. Let's put this over here. Say bye. I lied. That wasn't the end of the video. I'm gonna have to add this in because I watched back, and because my baby had woken up, I felt like rushed to finish. And I actually still had some more things that I wanted to add. So I know the video, I think, got pretty long, so I won't ramble too much. But basically, first, what I want to say is that I went through a period of time recently, again, because I've been struggling financially, in a really hard way. And, of course, it was all a choice, our own choice, and we're owning up to it, and we're trying to do what we can so that I can still be a stay-at-home mom. Those are all choices that we made. But the reality is that. And so I went through a period of time recently where I felt so heartbroken, so hurt, so sad, so just angry that everyone can tell you and encourage you to go to college, get these student loans, go to university, get a degree, go get a job, save up for a house, save up for school, I don't know, whatever it is, work. But then nobody, like I said, ever mentioned you might want to save up to be a stay-at-home mom. And that is an actual that is something that I am suggesting to you now. If you think that you may want to be a stay-at-home mom ever, just save up money, save up at least some money, have the focus of your savings, or one area of focus of your savings be that would be a big suggestion of mine. There's a lot of things that a lot of bills that could pile up, that could come unexpectedly, and things like that, and you just never know. And just, that's all I'm suggesting, is that the other thing is that I earlier in the video I mentioned that I was comparing the stress of like being at home compared to like being at work. I don't think it's stressful to be a wife. That's not what I'm saying, because I did include, I said like, oh, like the duties of being a wife, and like what I'm trying to say is that all of those things, the things that I'm concerned with now compared to like what I was concerned with before, like work things, they're so different, and they bring me so much more joy than like the stress that I was dealing with at work, just to clarify. Secondly, or thirdly, I always planned to buy a home with two incomes. That was always my plan. That was always, the way that I just planned to always work. So that meant that buying a home would, entail me working, and, my husband as well. Well, that has changed. I don't plan on that anymore, unless, of course, well, look, that may be a lie. Because I now have my business, right? If God willing, this goes well, obviously I am going to be working, just not in a traditional setting. But I'll still get to be home with my baby, hopefully. So, with that being said, you may not be able, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, you want to consider that maybe you might not be able to buy a home that would require where you would end up with a mortgage that would require both of you to work. Please take that into consideration, because it's a reality. You might want to stay home, which means that your husband will be the only one bringing in money, potentially, and he's gonna have to pay off that mortgage on his own. So just keep that in mind. I definitely think that that's important. Anyway, now that's the end of my video. I won't see you, but you'll see me next time. Bye.